welcome back to another episode of Rise to Liberty. I have been gone for a lot longer than I intended on being. I had gotten this real nasty, upper respiratory thing going on, and it was honestly awful. Still dealing with it. So I don't know what the hell it actually is. I mean, it is some sort of sickness, but holy hell does it not want to let you go. So now I'm just forcing myself to get back out there. I had to get back behind the mic. I had to get out here, talk to all of you fine folks. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. We've got a lot cooking. There's some big stuff coming. Excuse me. And pardon me while I'm not looking at the screen real quick. I'm trying to find a couple of sources that I was unable to before we got going. But like I was saying, that we've got some really big things happening. Super excited for you guys to find out what they are. Been working really hard on these things, and everything's growing. It's getting bigger. There's more people watching. There's a bigger demand. There's going to be all sorts of fun stuff. Let's see here. Just make sure I have everything. Everything's kind of strewn all over the place. Let's see. Is it this one? It's this one. Okay. So to welcome myself back, to welcome all you people back, we are going to ask a kind of an interesting question, but I think it's pretty pertinent to just kind of what I see going on out there. Pretty dope picture of a goat. Thank you. I absolutely love that thumbnail, and I was saving it for a special occasion, which is this. So, oh snap. Thank you. Oh, John is here, and he is queer. Don't say that about yourself. Yeah, I love the fun stuff too. I'm super excited. Let's see. So, just based upon what I see going on, mainly in social media land, is why we are going to be asking the question, is Satanic Panic back? I think it is a very interesting question. Let's see. I would argue that we live in more of a satanic world than I think we ever have. And I think it's really starting to kind of play out. It's starting to show its effects. I do want to say that I've had a bunch of new subscribers show up recently. So I just kind of want to give the rundown on people who were not familiar. So basically, I, Jacob, used to be a Satanist. I was a Satanist for about 10 years, give or take. So I believe I have a unique perspective to be able to talk about these subjects. I am no longer a Satanist. And so, like I said, I think I have a unique perspective that most people aren't going to hear. Most people on either side are never going to know the other side. Damn Air Force. Got to fly right after I start my show. But a lot of these like whistleblowers, the satanic whistleblowers back in the day, back in the 80s and early 90s, Like Mike Warnke comes to mind. A lot of these guys I don't trust. I'm not a huge. I don't know. There's just something about them. I don't know. Something rubs me the wrong way. I know a lot of these guys, or not a lot, I'll say some of these guys were definitely tied to intelligence. But that's what you find within Satanist circles as well. It's also what you find in Christian circles. So, it's just spooks everywhere. So today's episode, the thesis for today's episode is basically that Satanic Panic actually never ended. And in fact, that's kind of the thesis to the current series that we are working on, which is Satanic Panic Is Real. It never ended, and there was a reason to panic. The whole argument is that all of these claims of abuse, whether it be satanic or not, I believe all forms of abuse, especially these extreme forms of abuse, are satanic in nature. However, we will get into the definitions of what means what. But outside of that, regardless of whether it's this ramped up type of abuse or it's just your standard everyday abuse, I truly believe that there actually was a reason for the general public to panic. Now, I also do believe at the same time that some of the public over panicked, or they did freak out when they shouldn't have freaked out. There was a lot going on. There was definitely a lot going on. So the Satanic Panic never ended. It went underground, mutated, and reemerged wearing new clothes. The more interesting question is not whether Satanic Panic is back. It is whether the manufactured dismissal of Satanic Panic was always the psyop. Tonight, someone who spent a decade inside Satanism tells you what he experienced and why people loudly insisting you stop looking are the ones you should be watching most closely. So, just real quick before we dive into some of what I've got pulled up for you. So, if you watch this channel for any length of time, I don't open with disclaimers, but tonight I am going to tell you something up front because it is the most important credential I have for this conversation. As I had mentioned, I spent 10 years inside Satanism, not as a casual observer, not as somebody reading about it from the outside, sticking my toe in. I was a practicing Satanist. I know what it looks like from the inside. I know a lot of the culture, the community, the practices, and critically, what the fear-mongering looks like when it has no connection to reality. Personally, I left. I study it now as a researcher, and when I tell you tonight that something is real, I need you to understand that I am probably the last person on this platform who would say that carelessly. So, is Satanic Panic back? That's what we're going to dig into tonight. But I want to reframe the question immediately because I think it's the wrong question. The panic never left. What left was the willingness to talk about it out loud. And not even just talk about it out loud, but now you get shunned if you look into it. Because somewhere between the 1990s and today, the phrase Satanic Panic became a weapon. You say ritual abuse, somebody says, oh, that's been debunked. You're a crazy conspiracy theorist. You cite a case, somebody calls it a witch hunt, you present documented evidence, and someone tells you that you're hysterical. You're panicking. We're all panicking. Tonight we are going to dismantle or at least most of it. I don't know how far we're going to get, but I've got some great things to dismantle this. And we're going to do it piece by piece. And by the end of the show, you're going to have a decent understanding of why the dismissal is the most important part of this story next to the crimes. Because really, it does matter that these crimes are actually happening. But on top of that, there is a whole layer of cover-up going on. And here's what's really interesting. I agree with the people who do not want to see wrongful convictions. I 100% agree with that. We do not want to be locking up innocent people, especially for something like this that will ruin their life, no matter what. So this is like a social death sentence to be accused of something like this. So we have to be damn sure. However, by sweeping this under the rug and not allowing people to talk about it openly, that actually makes it really hard. That makes it super hard. And so it seems like the solution for most of these people is like, well, let's just not believe any of them. None of them are real because we're too scared that we're going to wrongfully persecute somebody. We're going to wrongfully imprison somebody. So just none of them. Nope. That's it. It's done. So I do find it interesting. It's the people who are against this as far as wrongful termination, wrongful imprisonment are actually making the problem worse because we need to be able to talk about this open and honestly. This is how we learn. This is how we are able to turn around and be able to see the things that are true, the things that are not true. And the better we get at this, the better we'll be able to point out when somebody's making false accusations. And of course, and I'm not sure what to do about this. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. However, that doesn't mean that we just throw up our hands and say, yeah, well, this doesn't exist at all, because the only people that actually helps are the abusers. They're the only ones winning in this. And that has to change. That absolutely has to change. So for those who haven't been here, once again, the name of the series is Satanic Panic Is Real. It's probably not what you think. It's, like I said, I believe that there was a reason for people to panic back then. I do believe there's a reason to panic now. You know, there is a lot of reasons to actually be concerned. The problem I have with the people who are opposed to this, and in fact, I'll even bring some of them up. They, for some reason, seem to believe that Satanists are just the only people in the world that wouldn't commit crimes or cause harm. Now, granted, most people are not going to. As a Satanist, I'll tell you, they're nice people. You know, they might not be your kind of people, but most of them are. So it just is what it is. Now, it goes for the same with every group. So every group's going to have the people that you don't like. But I just don't understand how Satanists are the only ones that don't ever cause harm, or they're incapable of harming a child for some reason. I don't understand this reasoning. And that is actually one other reason why I am doing this series, is I am trying to figure out why people are on the other side of this. So I will say, and I'll probably say this again, that anybody who is of the opposing side, you are always welcome to come on my channel. I will gladly have a good faith discussion, although I don't expect one back. Sorry, that's just kind of the way that you people are. But anyone is always welcome on my platform to come on in good faith. So if there is somebody out there that is taking the opposite stance of mine, I would love to have a conversation. Let's see here. So let's kind of jump into like what the current state of things are. I thought this was rather interesting. For anyone who doesn't know, this is Billy Corgan. He is the lead singer and lead guitarist of Smashing Pumpkins. He has a podcast. What is it called? The Magnificent Few. I think that's what it is. Actually, a really good show. I don't have a whole lot of time these days to watch other shows. But if I get a chance to catch a clip or two of his, he just asks really good questions. So he's good at what he does. But he has, 30, 40 years in the music industry. So he has a rather, in-depth perspective on the music industry. So if we're talking about the current landscape and we're talking about Satanism, is Satanic Panic back? Of course, we have to talk about music. And we have to talk about the popular music, which is pop, hip hop, these sorts of things. So let's see what Billy Corgan has to say about this.
In many cases, the most satanic representation in music over the last 20 years has been the pop stars, because they are knowingly creating a false image.
Right.
And they are servile to the false image to the point of jacking up their faces and jacking up their voices and deluding their audience that they're somebody that they're not. And they're all doing it in plain sight.
Right.
And at some point, even you'll see the audience reach a point of cognitive dissonance where they know that the person they want to believe in an idolatrous way isn't that person. And they force the people to double down on the idolatry.
Totally.
Because that's the only thing they can do. Or, as you know, as a fan of alternative music's the exact opposite.
Right.
It's about, warts and all.
Right. It's did you forget to bring a tie, or what are we doing here? Right.
Well, I always say it's the right T-shirt and the right mustache. All right, so let's just, I don't want to cut you off. So if you have something to add to that, but I want to kind of jump into
there's a writer, Daniel Pinchbeck, who used to write for Arthur Magazine. It was kind of like Oz Magazine from the 60s, but from 20 years ago. And he's kind of a Timothy Leary of Gen X, as Colbert called him.
Okay.
And he's written and talked about the pop star thing in recent years, where he's just like, he's gone full like vigilante citizen, where he's like, they love these intentional occult Illuminati references. This is Daniel.
in my notes, by the way.
This is Daniel.
You're doing
Pinchbeck.
a good job there.
Daniel Pinchbeck is mom knew the beats. Like he's a pretty sophisticated dude.
Yeah.
So to your point, of course. I mean, I don't think, of course, Billy. Like it's all pretty obvious.
Well, but maybe to much of the audience that just they're just fans of who they like. They wouldn't necessarily understand. Let's call it the motivations why a pop star would lean into occult imagery. It may not be as simple as, they're suddenly joined a secret society and they're giving the weird triangle thing.
Right.
We've all seen those pictures where like, oh my God, they're giving the triangle, whatever that's about. I mean, weirdos like
whatever
myself.
That's about. Know what it's about.
I did a tour in 2019 around my album's Cotillion. It was a solo album. And I dressed up in Freemason garb for the tour. Having, by the way, no foreknowledge that my ancestors were actually OG Freemasons.
Really?
And there's actually a church built by one of my ancestors in the state of Illinois, where I was born and raised and still live, that's still standing, is a very famous Freemason church.
Really? Wow.
So I actually have OG occult, and my family was one of the original 100 Mormon families as well. So let's play that game for a second, and we'll move on.
I had
no
idea
people.
He was also Mormon.
For all I know, I'm actually born with, so it's called the genetic imprint of secret societies. I'm attracted to them. I actually have Masons pull me aside, say, "Sure, you don't want to join?"
Oh yeah.
So they're identifying something in me, or maybe it's just because I'm seen as I have some power in the world. I don't actually have much at all. So again, we're surfing on the wave of like, where does the game begin and end? And it's like something out.
Okay, so I thought that was kind of a interesting perspective. Because I agree, it's definitely been the pop musicians been pushing um, all of all of the satanic imagery uh, within culture. I mean, these people are huge too. It's not like they pull, little numbers. Um, Granted, rock music is still the number one uh, ticket selling item. So for live events, rock music is still king. Rock and metal, it always will be because it's just better. It just is. Also, there is controversy over whether some of these pop stars, let's be honest, manufactured, you know, uh, pop stars, there's controversy over whether the numbers that they get on streaming platforms are genuine or not, because based upon the numbers that they get digitally online compared to their ticket sales, it's a big discrepancy. However, people do still turn out for them. And I mean, they have influence. They have major influence. And in fact, let me just pull this up. See, and I will get to your comments as well. So let's see here. There we go. I mean, it's just so we've got Megan Thee Stallion, Taylor Swift, Doja Cat, Travis Scott, Justin Timberlake, Billie Eilish, Cardi B, Sam Smith, The Weeknd, Nas, Little Uzi Vert, whoever the fuck that is. But I mean, it's just blatantly satanic. And it's funny to me because, I mean, you can watch comment sections on social media. Like, I'm not sure if you guys saw, let's see. In fact, I'll just look it up real quick. If you guys ever saw the videos of the Zac Brown band when they played in the Sphere in Las Vegas. Let's see, Zac Brown band. I mean, their stage performance was very clearly like satanic imagery, regardless of what they said. So apparently, Zac Brown band, this was AI overview, Zac Brown band faced backlash in December 2025 over satanic accusations regarding their Las Vegas Sphere residency from the Ashes. The controversy stemmed from theatrical high-tech visuals featuring skulls, a bone crown, and a hell-like fiery abyss. Okay, how can it be hell-like? Isn't it just hell? I mean, okay, whatever. Let's see. The band and supporters clarified the show represents overcoming personal dark life struggles, not actual devil worship, with Zac Brown calling the allegations horseshit. Okay, well, first of all, they're not horseshit because it is what it is. Now, this is coming from a person who still, I'm a metalhead through and through. I listen to metal almost exclusively. And that music deals with the darker side of life more than almost any other form of music on a much more regular basis. Like it kind of built itself on that. And so there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with artistically expressing regular human feelings about the dark side. I mean, of course, we're going to have strong opinions about death and loss and, things like addiction and abuse and like all of these things. And this is a part of life. We can't ignore that. Not everything is, rainbows and butterflies. So I don't see anything wrong with like artistically expressing that, but there's a big difference between talking about, representing, or trying to demystify the dark. There is artistic integrity. There is something that actually is art, and then there is something that is just blatantly trying to send a message. Now, maybe they didn't think that it was going to be taken so negatively. I would guess that they probably thought that. But then it's like, dude, your fans did not like what you did. They're the ones that pay your fucking paycheck. So maybe just listen to them and don't call it just horse shit. But let's see. Let me pull up this video, because I found this interesting as all hell. I thought it was so interesting. Let's see. Oop. I'm not used to having this many tabs up at once. Let's see. There it is. Okay. Make sure you guys have sound. And there we go. Okay, so I am actually going to go ahead and I'm going to mute this just because I don't want to get a strike on my channel. That would be fucking embarrassing, getting a strike because of Zach Brown. No, thank you. So, to me, it doesn't look like much yet. Let's see. I don't really want to watch the entire thing. Let's see. Let me get the next thing ready while we sit and watch this. Now, mind you, here's the other issue of why I think this is interesting. You have to know about the sphere a little bit. This is the most like technologically advanced entertainment amphitheater in the world, I believe. So, I mean, there's all sorts of different ways for them to affect your senses, between smell, like different like vibrations, and I mean, the screen is just massive. And so if you guys know anything about programming or suggestibility, subliminal messaging, I mean, the possibilities of what they could get up to in this place is really scary. Very, very scary. You are entirely vulnerable in this arena, and you're also packed in there with everyone else. And so this is what bothers me about it. because of the imagery, and also what we don't see subconsciously is kind of what bothers me. Now, I will say there are some people that will just call everything satanic. Those people are ridiculous, and they make, people that agree with us, they make us look unreasonable. Not everything is satanic. That's stupid. But when you do see something genuinely evil or representing evil, and not in a good way, not like I said, representing the dark side, talking about it, demystifying it, but like appraising it, you know it when you see it. You really do. And it's kind of a cop-out, but it is kind of a feeling. So like when I see I don't know, that list of pop stars that I was reading off the picture earlier, it's like when I see any of them dressed in devil horns, I'm not questioning like, oh, are they just being super artistic? Like, trust me, you know it when you see it. Let's see. Yes, he is. Yeah, now look at this. I mean, I don't know, man. It's kind of fucking freaky. Now, I'm not going to say like, oh, they had the intention of like putting people in a trance or anything. I don't think that. But I don't think that this is like sending me a good vibe. I don't want to be there. Well, I wouldn't go to a Zac Brown concert anyways, but he has influence over the population, unlike the average Joe, so he has the power to influence. Right. Tickets are expensive as fuck. It sucks. Even like, less popular bands that are on their way up, it just sucks, man. I used to go to concerts all the time. Can't really now. Fucking thanks, Trump. Fucking Biden. Fucking Obama. Fucking thanks. Let's see. They ripped off a Pink Floyd song? I don't know. I'm not a Floyd fan. Those opening notes were from a Pink Floyd song from the Wall album. I'll take your word for it. I don't hate Pink Floyd. I appreciate their contribution to music, but I don't know. Now, okay. Let me go back and go read. Now that you guys have seen this, whether you had seen it or not, see, I want to go back and go read what the article had said. Or wait, no, it wasn't the article. Damn it. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this AI overview that I was reading that I thought was kind of ridiculous. I'll read it again now that you guys have all seen it. Zac Brown band faced backlash in December 2025 over satanic accusations regarding their Las Vegas Sphere residency. From the ashes. The controversy stemmed from theatrical, high-tech visuals featuring skulls, a bone crown, and a hell-like. It's hell-like. It's not hell. No. But it's hell-like. But it's a hell-like fiery abyss. The band and supporters clarified the show represents overcoming personal dark life struggles. Okay, I guess. Not actual devil worship. No, I don't think that this is devil worship. I'll tell you that flat out. I don't think it's devil worship, but that's not the point. And I don't think that's the point of what people were trying to say. Somebody I'm sure was. There's always super unreasonable people when this stuff comes up. But yeah, I don't think that this is like devil worship. This is meant to push a certain idea and certain visuals into your head. It's almost like it's like a version of Revelation of the Method. And for those who don't know, Revelation of the Method is simply the idea that that people within the occult have this weird ethic where they have to gain your consent for what they're going to do. And they do that by showing you in symbolic ways through art and movies and all sorts of stuff. And the fact that we don't say anything about it is us giving consent, apparently. And if we give consent, then they're allowed to turn life into, the hellhole that they want it to be. And that's kind of what this is. It's a desensitization. It's a forcing a certain atmosphere on you. Now, I wouldn't expect this from a country band necessarily, but Zac Brown Band is a Grammy nominated and Grammy winning, I believe. I don't know. I don't keep up with that, but that means they're part of the boys club. They're part of the thing. So they are there. So they are right in the perfect position for them to be able to send this sort of message. And maybe they didn't even know. I don't know. I'm not even going to point fingers. I honestly don't care that much. But with the way that they're dressed, the way that the stage show looks and everything, like, okay, maybe it does mean to overcome all these dark personal things. Fine. But two things can be true at once. And I know when I saw this, I wasn't comfortable with it. I'll tell you that. Like, if I would have paid money to go see them and this is what I got, I'd be pissed. Well, actually, I don't know if I would be pissed. I'd be a Zac Brown fan, so I'd be kind of dumb. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Their first album's okay. But, yeah, I mean, look at this. It's, I don't know. And then, okay, we're done with this. But if we go back real quick before we move on, if we go back to once again look at the pop stars, I mean, this is everybody. Like, even back in the 80s or whatever, when metal was big, not every single artist actually played into the whole satanic thing. Some of them didn't at all. So I just find it interesting that now all pop stars, every single one of them, has some weird story or video. They all appear demonic at some point. And it's only within the last, what would you guys say, like 6 years, 8 years? I mean, they've always done this, but to the level of where it is what I mean. It's like, I don't know. It's so blatant. Like when Lil Nas X did the whole music video of him, giving the gay lap dance to Satan. And then he did the promotion with Nike where he put blood in the shoes and stuff. It's like, I mean, man, it's blatantly satanic. I don't know what to say. Because there are people out there that will tell you, no, just get over yourself, man. It's just art. Okay, well, the thing is not all art is good art. And also, just because you can doesn't mean you should. So, there is that. name this band. Let's see. I had the next post up. Let's see. Let me find it real quick. So, I mean, this is kind of the landscape, right? And we do have to address these things because, once again, the question is Satanic Panic back? Well, I'm not quite sure it ever went away. Let's see. Sorry, I've got way too many tabs going on. Okay. Nope. It's not it. Okay. Is this it? Is it it? Oh, nope. Let's see. We'll switch back here for now. So, I mean, this is, like I said, this is kind of where we are, at least musically. But this also kind of seems to be where we kind of are just in general. The next thing I was going to bring up. Oop, damn it. Getting out of control over here. Let's see, was the Balenciaga thing. The Balenciaga scandal. See, I know I had this saved. Did all this work to get prepped, and now I can't even find it. Okay, we'll just do a new search. Let's see. All right, so we'll just run through this real quick. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. We could probably do a whole show just on this, though. So this was kind of interesting. Balenciaga, for those that don't know, is a high-end clothing line. Honestly, their clothes look like trash. It's I don't know. I don't get it, but they kept having these advertisements for their clothing brand where they would keep putting kids in sexually suggestive what's the word I'm looking for? Environments, to where, like, for instance, I don't want the music. Why does it have to be so loud? So yeah, Balenciaga keeps putting kids in BDSM teddy bear ads and hiding satanic symbols in their campaigns. This isn't fashion. This is a ritual. Well, I think it's both, because I think the fashion industry is perverted like this, but it is very strange. Come on. Let's see, yeah, Paul. Okay, this isn't that great of a post. Let's go find something else. Let's see, Kim Kardashian, Nicole Kidman, and Selma Hayek led the front row stars at Balenciaga runway show in LA. God, I just don't care. Let's see, a luxury shop in Turkey showcasing this $1,790 Balenciaga pouch. That's got to be a fucking joke, right? That's got to be a fucking joke. Okay. Let's see. Balenciaga. I did not know that it was owned by Selma Hayek's husband. Wow. That's interesting. Okay. Let's see if we can zoom in on this. Okay, no. So, see if I can do this. Damn it. Okay. Aha. Here we go. Okay. So very clearly one of their ads. And they posted a lot of these, if I remember right. very clearly little kid. Why the hell does that teddy bear have to be dressed like that? And what the hell else is like all around her? Like, this is very disturbing. Let's see. We would like to address the controversy surrounding our recent ad campaigns. And this wasn't even the worst one. There was some of them that were like really, really bad. Like somebody should have went to jail kind of bad. Let's see. Our recent ad campaigns. We strongly condemn child abuse. Yeah, I'm sure. It was never our intent to include it in our narrative. The fuck it wasn't. The fuck it wasn't. Let's see. The two separate ad campaigns in question reflect a series of grievous errors for which Balenciaga takes responsibility. So that tells me, just reading that for the first time, that tells me it was done on purpose. And they're like, oh shit, what do we do? Let's see. The first campaign, the gift collection campaign, featured children with plush bear bags dressed in what some have labeled BDSM-inspired outfits. Our plush bear bags and the gift collection should not have been featured with children, but it was. Okay. Okay, so they can see it now, right? They can see how maybe having kids in the ad was not a good idea. So I have a hard time believing that they couldn't see it then. Either they really are that fucking stupid, which this is Hollywood, don't put it past them. But yeah, this just says to me that it was done on purpose. Oh, no. We now see how bad it looks. But before, we thought it was okay. So this is kind of an interesting tactic I've noticed that gets used. What people that are practicing the revelation of the method, what they'll do is they will push the boundary really hard. They'll go over the edge on purpose. That way they can roll it back in. And then the next thing they do, which would have been super weird, is not going to be as weird now because of what they just did. So it's a way to push the Overton window without people even really thinking about it. So this was totally done on purpose, in my opinion. Let's see. The second separate campaign for spring 2023, which was meant to replicate a business office environment, included a photo with a page in the background from a Supreme Court ruling, United States v. Williams, 2008, which confirms as illegal and not protected by freedom of speech the promotion of child pornography. No. This is just art. This is art, people. Get the fuck out of here. So in the background of a picture that nobody's even going to fucking notice, they just decide to put this very specific thing that just so happens to also be related to pornography, child pornography. And then they're doing like sexually suggestive advertisements with kids. And no, this is just a mistake. Get the fuck out of it. Like, I know I'm not the smartest person, but like, don't insult me. Let's see, Balenciaga, blah, blah, blah. Let's see, dominance and submission, child sex ad campaign scandal, and now $4,000 bracelet that looks like duct tape, insinuating child sex trafficking, ? Why with all the fucking music? Are you guys as sick of that as I am? You've got to be kidding me. There's no fucking way that's a real bracelet for them. Is it? Is that a real bracelet that costs $4,000? I mean, I've seen Kanye's clothing brand, so it wouldn't surprise me, but let's see. A witch on American Horror Story lets out a blood-curdling scream, Balenciaga, before being burned at the stake. No way. Oh my God. What the fuck? Okay. That is super weird. Okay. Let's see. Back to Balenciaga. If I remember right, Balenciaga translates to something. Maybe somebody in the chat knows. Let's see. Eyes wide shut on the Balenciaga scandal. Some are too quick to explain away and dismiss the fashion brand's controversial advert featuring children and sexualized teddy bears. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's actually really funny. Yeah, that kind of was a problem. People were just willing to just no. It's they're rich, they're weird. That's what they do. No, that's still not okay. How Balenciaga went from sophisticated to scandalous. Brand that once dressed royalty and Audrey Hepburn almost got Kim Kardashian and Nicole Kidman canceled. Oh no, not canceled. Oh God. What would they have done? Balenciaga fan cuts up 2,300 pounds worth of her designer clothes in protest. Interesting. Photographer dragged into BDSM bear scandal got death threat. Oh no. Oh, that poor man. Oh no. Okay, I've got to look at this and then we'll move on from it, but oh no, he got dragged into it. Oh, kicking and screaming, hopefully. Let's see. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. Let's see. The photographer who shot Balenciaga's controversial ad campaign that depicted young children holding teddy bears dressed in BDSM-like harnesses. No. That's what they were. Now fears for his life as death threats are pouring in towards him. Fuck with the bull and get the horns, dude. I don't think anyone should die needlessly, but I also don't think that adults should be doing this with kids. And if you do it with kids, well, if you die, I mean, I don't know. Whatever. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. Let's see. I get messages like, we know where you live. We are coming to kill you and your family. We're going to burn your house. You have to kill yourself, fucking pedophile. Yeah, I just don't give a shit. Anybody else? Anybody else does not give a shit about this poor man? I'm a documentary photographer. I photograph what I find there. So he just found these kids like this? That's even more concerning. Okay, so my question about this whole ad campaign, who made the decision? Also taking the blunt from an additional highly controversial photo campaign in which papers, but yeah. Well, was that not his call? The two separate ad campaigns in question reflect a series of grievous errors, which Balenciaga takes responsibility. Ooh, yay, responsibility. A statement from the brand read, they recently dropped $25 million lawsuit. Let's see. He is also claiming that the brand, along with creative director Denma, did not do enough to address the public during the nearly month-long scandal, thus putting the photographer's safety at risk. Oh, once again, like, I don't really care. Let's see if I can open this up. Yeah, look at this bear. Okay. See. Hold on. Look at this fucking bear. You're telling me that's a BDSM like harness? That's like exactly what it is. Like, what the fuck? Like for real. Yeah, I just don't really care that this guy is getting death threats. Like, don't do this, dude. Did you learn a lesson? Let's see. I want to personally apologize for the wrong artistic choice of concept for the gifting campaign with the kids, and I take my response. Okay. I have a problem if we take them at their word that they didn't see a problem with this to begin with. That once everyone freaks out and then they're like, oh shit, we're fucking weird. I do believe that it could be possible that they actually did not think about this ahead of time. Because the people that live in LA or around that area in these industries and everything, like, they are on a whole different wavelength. And what's interesting is when, like, people in Hollywood do weird things, they don't know that it's weird because they are so far removed from normal people. So I could genuinely believe they had no clue that it was going to be this bad. But the fact that something like this is normal to them, I mean, let me ask you guys, is that reason to panic? Like the fact that, you know, these people that are shaping our culture, that have massive influence on things, not like we want them to, but they just do for some reason, think that it's okay until the public freaks out on them. Like, they totally thought that this was such a great idea because they did do this on purpose. Like, I do not believe otherwise. So what do you mean? I just said it. Is this reason to panic? Because this is actually our culture. So honestly, what am I trying to say? Honestly, what are you not understanding? Let's see. Okay. So, I mean, we have massive satanic influence through the music, which just seems to be getting stronger. We have the Balenciaga scandal, which is just something to highlight, sort of as the, I would argue, the state of things. Let's see. The last thing I think is kind of interesting. Nah, I think we might skip that. Might save that for another show. There was, I mean, we just got to talk about it real quick. Is the Pride movement? Like that's just, I don't know. I don't even know what to say about that. Very clearly evil. I mean, dancing around naked in front of children, and it's still happening. It's fucking crazy. Can't believe that. So the question is, for somebody like Julius Caesar 4176, what am I trying to say? Well, I'm trying to ask a question, since it seems like you showed up late. Is Satanic Panic back? And if it's back, is there a reason to panic? Are there actual things going on within our society that are probably bad? And it's bad to the point where people should panic. Maybe say something about it. And more importantly, if this is not it, if this is not a reason to panic, if these things are not, then where is the line? Which is the most important thing. So, to answer your question again, Julius Caesar, this is what I'm trying to say. See, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I can get back to that comment, because I'm going to bring it up again. Okay. Let's see. That's pretty much all I had for at least current culture. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on that, and I feel like I already spent too much time on it. But I don't think I have to point out all the things that we all see. I mean, I didn't even want to bring up politics. So, but there's all of that. And so layering all of this together is kind of what I'm getting at. I don't know. It seems pretty crazy to me at this point. Okay. Moving on. Okay. Let me get this next post. Give me just one sec. And then, damn it, I got to get a drink. Excuse me. I guess I'll just talk about one of the last things I had on the list. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get to it or if I should, but, and this is a little bit old. However, do you guys remember it wasn't really a controversy, but like all of the like cultural differences with the Sound of Freedom stuff. Like everything was, I don't know. Everyone was really impacted by that movie, but then it got like weird after. It did highlight the issue of human trafficking, which good. I had an issue with the fact that it focused on human trafficking in a way to make it seem as though it's not happening here. that it's like a third world problem. That bothered me a lot. There was some really weird connections, you know, behind the scenes with the show creator, and then there's the whole the hell is his name? Can't believe I'm blanking on his name. The Operation Underground Railroad guy. If it was any other day, I would have remembered his name. I don't know. I know you guys know who I'm talking about. He had all the sexual abuse scandals and stuff. But, you know, it was really great for something to like bring everyone up to speed on a super important issue like this. But I think some of the backlash was not great. It's kind of a little bit more than I want to get into at this point, though. But just to move on. So at the beginning, I did say that I kind of wanted to reframe the question. So I am sorry, because the way that I framed this was, is it back? You know, it's a little clickbaity. Sorry. Got to get you guys in here somehow. Because obviously it's not me clearing my throat every 5 seconds that's going to do it. But the way I would like to reframe the question is, if we say, is Satanic Panic back? That implies that it left to begin with. So my question now is, did Satanic Panic actually ever end? I do believe it went dormant, but there were cases all the way through the 90s and the early 2000s that were still going on. In fact, there were like massive revelations in the early 2000s, some of which we're still talking about now, but there was like no media coverage. For instance, the finders, like the information on the finders of what we know now, largely due to declassified documents, like that didn't come out really until, what was it, 2018, when, you know, that big chunk of documents came out. Of course, there was information before that, but it's one of those subjects that kind of went by the wayside because, well, I mean, it happened in the 80s and didn't get a whole lot of coverage back then. So let's see. Oh, and another thing. The False Memory Syndrome Foundation dissolved. They were unable to keep the foundation itself going. Let's see here. Okay. I know where we're going next. We are, in fact, bringing up the False Memory Syndrome Foundation. Okay. Sure. Right here. Okay. Close that out. Share this screen. And there we go. Oh, sound. I guess you guys want some sound, don't you? Now, it might seem as though I am jumping around a bit, but I promise it will make sense. So let's get back here. We are going to watch a little bit of a video. Let's see. No, turn that off. Okay.
Hello, everyone. This is Joshua Smith of Apollo's Artifacts.
Sound good?
May of 2019. In this episode, I'm going to be expanding upon the supplemental information for the Satanic Panic Reconsidered series. In this one, we'll be taking a look at the False Memory Syndrome Foundation. In this particular episode, I will not be looking into the intelligence ties of the FMSF. We will not be taking a look at the CIA connections, the CIA funding that some of the advisory board members and founding board members have received over the years. Rather, in this episode, we're going to take a look at...
Okay, hold on a sec. Why did it switch screens like that? Come on. There we go. I apologize for that.
What their specific political interests are and why they would be involved in a foundation such as this. The False Memory Syndrome Foundation was founded in 1992, almost immediately in the wake of the final conclusion to the second trial for the McMartin preschool case. The intent of the organization has long been to undermine the credibility of child victim witnesses and adults who come to recall their childhood abuse. Two of the initial founders of the organization, Peter and Pamela Freed, were accused by their own daughter, Jennifer, who is now a professor of psychology at the University of Oregon, of having abused her when she was a child. And we can hear a little bit of the motivation from Jennifer Freed from her book published in 1996 called Betrayal Trauma. Now, this is found on the website of another victim named Barbara Rogers, whose website is called Screams from Childhood. She has an article that's called The War Against the Child's and Victim's Credibility and Truth. And she quotes Miss Freed here. If people who dare to speak about sexual abuse are attacked by those whom they have relied on and trusted, is it any wonder that unawareness and silence are so common? Survivors of childhood sexual abuse and betrayal trauma have learned to cope by being disconnected internally so as to manage a minimal kind of external connection. But with adult freedom and responsibility come the potential to break silence, to use voice and language to promote internal integration, deeper external connection, and social transformation. Through communication, integration within ourselves, and connection between individuals, we can become whole, embodied, aware, vital, powerful. Miss Freed's book actually covers the abuse suffered by Professor Ross Chait, author of The Witch Hunt Narrative. He was abused when he attended a summer camp at the San Francisco Boys Chorus. That case is too big for this particular episode, so I'm not going to cover that one here. Jennifer Freed has identified 7 factors that explain the isolation and abandonment of the victim who cannot share their traumatic experience with anyone. According to betrayal trauma theory, the 7 factors predicting amnesia are most likely to occur in incestuous abuse than in any other sort of abuse. The factors are abuse by a caregiver, explicit threats demanding silence, alternative realities in the environment, isolation during the abuse, a young age at the time of abuse, alternative reality defining statements by the caregiver, lack of discussion of abuse.
Okay.
Here I continue.
This is not quite what I thought it was. So, let's pretend like none of that happened. This was a last-minute addition. Man, I am just not doing great with that. However, I do have something a lot better to go with. Give me just one sec. Okay. Now this is a lot better as far as this goes. That guy was just really no. Okay. The guy was just really boring. Sorry, I just couldn't take it. You know what? Sometimes when you pull up a source that you've never looked at, sometimes it's a killer. Other times it's just not. Okay. Here we go.
MK Ultra and the False Memory Syndrome Foundation. Dr. Martin T. Orn is an original board member of the False Memory Syndrome Foundation, the FMSF, as well as a senior CIA researcher at the University of Pennsylvania's Experimental Psychiatry Laboratory. The FMSF was created to deny the existence of cult mind control and child abuse, and is staffed with psychiatrists connected to the CIA and their mind control experimentation. The phenomenon of children being coached or led to invent tales of abuse or make up such stories does exist, but comprises a small minority of the reported cases of child abuse, between 2 and 8% of all reported cases. One survey found 88% of therapists considered ritual child abuse a very real social problem. Only 5% of all child abuse cases ever enter the courtroom. Half of these end with the child returned to the custody of the abusive parent. Dr. Orn's research into hypnoprogramming at Cornell University in the 1960s was paid for by the Human Ecology Fund, which also funded some of Dr. Ewan Cameron's brainwashing and remote mind control experimentation.
Bum, bum, bum. Okay. I do want to pause there for just a sec, because there is one bit that, oh, damn it, come on. There is one thing that I forgot to do before this, so we're going to just do it now. So it does kind of matter what we're talking about. And as unpleasant as it is, we do have to define exactly, what ritual abuse, satanic ritual abuse, what we are actually talking about. And in fact, this entire discussion, which has basically become known as the memory wars, if you're a nerd like myself, that is, it really does come down to the definitions of exactly what we're talking about. So, what is ritual abuse? Ritual abuse is a method of abuse, often using indoctrination, aimed at breaking the will of another human being. In a 1989 report, the Ritual Abuse Task Force of the LA County Commission for Women defined ritual abuse as: ritual abuse usually involves repeated abuse over an extended period of time. The physical abuse is severe, sometimes including torturing and killing. The sexual abuse is usually painful, humiliating, intended as a means of gaining dominance over the victim. The psychological abuse is devastating and involves the use of ritual indoctrination. It includes mind control techniques which convey to the victim a profound terror of the cult members or whatever group member. Most victims are in a state of terror, mind control, and ultimately disassociation. So, it is a very specific thing. There really are two types of arguments when it comes to this. Either it doesn't happen at all. You're crazy to say that it does. Why would you ever think that this is a possibility? And then there's the other people that say, well, yeah, I mean, it probably happens, but it's like, there's like nobody that ever does it. Those are the two biggest arguments I've heard. This I just quite don't understand. Because I do agree with some of the people on my side that have pointed out that the satanic aspect of this is kind of a distraction. It is kind of used in and of itself to sensationalize exactly what we're talking about. And then, anytime something is sensationalized, it's easily manipulated, which I believe that it was done in this case. See here, just looking over my notes real quick. So really, this is about the dismissal, right? Because I take the position that this happens. This is real. And it's probably a lot more common than people would like to believe. In fact, I know it is. This is a hell of a lot more common than people would like to admit at all. And to demonstrate this, I actually have a quote I wanted to share with you guys, if I can find it. Oh, so perfect. Okay. The good thing about people is that most people are inherently good. Most people want to live a simple life, want to cause no trouble, and wish to do no harm. The problem with most people being inherently good is that their goodness often binds and prevents them from inherently seeing how truly wicked evil can be. Claudia Pivens. So, I think this is one issue. I think this is one reason why people like to deny that this stuff actually even exists. I'm not sure where you guys are, but I strip away all my cynicism and everything. I do genuinely believe that most people are good. I don't think that they're great. I'm not going to rely on most people to give me the shirt off of their back. But in their own lives, with their own family and friends, I do believe most people are good. But evil in the world does exist. Now, this is, I guess, the part where I'm getting hung up is where is it coming from for people to just deny that evil exists, or that evil is actually this cartoonishly fucking evil? Like, okay. We're going on a side trip. Let's see. Radio. Oh. How you spell that? Okay. We are going to look at some of our friends over. Oh, come on. Share screen, window. And there we are. We're going to talk about our friends over at Ward Radio for a minute. If you guys don't know who these people are, you're lucky. But you're about to find out. And yes, I won't forget, we will get back to finish that false memory syndrome video. This is just a detour. So, this
is the garden hose.
Oh, boy. Let's see. I have got to sign in real quick. I cannot watch this with ads. Okay. I don't ever use this browser, so that's... Wait. Okay. There we go. Sorry, I'm going to remove this from the screen for just a sec. Don't want you guys catching my login. Oh, Okay. That was strange. That was really strange. It just kind of like logged in without me doing anything. Kind of freaking me out, man. Okay. So this man's name is Jonah. Say hi to Jonah. And he is taking the position of debunking the Glenn L. Pace memo. For those who don't know, the Glenn L. Pace memo was it was supposed to stay an internal document within the LDS Church, high up within the leadership. At the time in the early 90s, the church leaders were receiving lots of reports of SRA and RA all throughout the country and even the world. There was cases as far south as Mexico, all the way up in the north of Canada. I believe there were some in Europe. I don't know. They were everywhere. So they investigated it, but they wanted to keep it internal. The Glenn Pace memo ended up coming out. It was released by a group of I don't know if I would call them anti-Mormons, but they were okay, yeah, I'll call them anti-Mormons. But nonetheless, it was a real document released, and it discussed satanic ritual abuse within the LDS Church. And Bishop Glenn Pace gave his opinion on it, and he believed that after his investigation, he believed that the church did in fact have an issue with satanic ritual abuse or ritual abuse within the church. And that was basically what his opinion was that he was going to turn in on this memo. He ended up interviewing 60 people, or he interviewed more, but he only included 60 people in the document. He talked to both men and women, and he talked to people of all ages. Some were adults, some were still little children at the time, and everywhere in between. They were all experiencing the same thing, or relatively close to the same experience in different parts of the country. Now, this is pre-internet, pre-cell phones, so it's pretty unlikely that they were influenced by the internet, or they were like making a phone tree or whatever and convincing all their kids to lie or whatever. Well, and also some of them were adults. So I don't know. It is a pretty damning document. I have never seen a reason to doubt it. And in fact, everything I have been told about Glenn Pace from people who talked to him and met him, he wholeheartedly believed it. It was real. So I don't know why there would be a reason to doubt this, really. However, these people have decided to debunk it, whatever that means. So, let's see here. Just trying to keep my computer area clean so I'm not screwing up. Okay. We'll get back to that. Where was my... Let's see. Okay. We're not going to watch all of these because I'm not going to subject you guys to that. Let's see. There is one of them. I guess we'll skip through this one. Oh my good Lord.
Fuel to the fictional fire. Accusations of devil worship at innocent townsfolk. And before innocent until proven guilty was the norm, hysteria strangled the rationale of the colonists, and soon dozens of average citizens were found guilty of demonic crimes they didn't commit, all based off spectral evidence no one could prove. Out of a town of 500 people, 19 were hung and 1 was pressed to death. 4% of the population. All based on the words of a hand.
This is driving me nuts. I am never using this browser again. This sucks. Okay. Let's do this again. I'm sure this makes for great entertainment to sit and watch. Come on. There we go.
Full of little girls who knew how to perform and say the right buzzwords. Today, we have names for it like fake news and cancel culture. But what recently happened in the 1980s is today known by the name the Satanic Panic. Founded by Mormon pioneers and central headquarters to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Salt Lake City, besides housing the
we don't need to go through that.
School bus stop. Eaton was one, stoking motherly worries about immorality, rock stars, and shock jocks.
This is actually
abuse?
Okay.
Or is this just the echoes of a satanic panic, still reverberating through what locals call Zion? In the 1980s, a new hysteria swept across America when cinema was going through a dark renaissance. Rosemary's Baby was released in 1968, and The Omen in 1976. Released in 1973, The Exorcist broke box office records and was the highest-grossing film in Warner Brothers history. It was inducted into the Library of Congress for preservation for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Yet the fresh horrors of the cinema remained confined to the theaters until the 80s, when VCRs brought the horror home, along with scary new board games like Dungeons and Dragons and controversial new media like MTV. Suburban mothers thought if horror movies weren't driving their teenagers toward violence, that Dungeons and Dragons was pushing them to suicide and murder. This was completely untrue, of course. The data would show that social teens playing face-to-face games with friends actually had a lower rate of suicide and violence, but that didn't stop Christian moms from invoking the name of Jesus as they protected their children from the...
Just out of curiosity, has anyone ever looked into the Dungeons and Dragons whole thing? It's a very interesting story. We will cover it at some point on this channel. Probably not tonight, but because I do think it deserves its whole own episode thing. There's actually a lot more to it than you would think. It wasn't quite so much just, kids innocently playing a game by themselves. No, I mean, there's certain facts like the creators of Dungeons and Dragons actually went and found those who practice witchcraft, Wiccans, warlocks, whatever you want to call them, and actually put real spells into the game. Now, in their defense, when they were making the game, they were saying that this was all about the authenticity. Okay, maybe. But it is a little weird out of nowhere that, you create this super authentic game and a bunch of kids just like start, I guess, going crazy. There was a bunch of violence that came out of the game. There was a bunch of, teen suicides and stuff. Now, I'm not going to say it's like, ooh, it's video games, but I mean, if you look into it, it's just not as quite as cut and dry as somebody like this would make you think. It's interesting. And also, it does need to be noted that the game has changed a whole lot over the years. It's kind of gone back and forth. Like there's been just like a whole lot of changes. And then also you've got to take into account that, say somebody gets the game, they're really into it. Well, they can pretty much pick their own campaigns. They can do all sorts of stuff. So if you have somebody who's already set on that path and they use this as a channeling method, it's not necessarily the game, but they were able to use the game, if that makes sense. So there's a lot more of that. Same with heavy metal. Ricky Casso, I think, is a great example of that, where he was able to, influence his friends, get them to do drugs, get them to do all these sorts of things for him, kind of like a little coven, through their mutual fondness of heavy metal music. So it's not necessarily the thing. It's not like heavy metal's issue. It's not Dungeons and Dragons. The point is it's just not quite as cut and dry as media reports would have you believe.
Demonic ravages of cosplay. Adding fuel to the fictional fire, music television, or MTV, first aired in 1981, stoking motherly worries about immorality. Rock stars and shock jocks loved to play these fears.
Is that a real thing? Like, I mean, I wasn't a mom in the 80s, so I have no point of reference. I mean, I don't think I have any moms from the 80s in my chat, but I mean, how could that be verified? Were there really hordes of women across the United States just like panicking at MTV? Like, that one I find very difficult to believe. Sorry, I do.
Quickly killed the wholesome radio star. In 1979, a little 6-year-old boy, Eaton Pates, mysteriously vanished from his school bus stop. Eaton was one of the first milk carton children who now brought the panic into the kitchens of mothers across the nation. As more women...
Okay, but that wasn't anyone's fault except for the fucking people who produced the milk cartons, so...
entered the workforce, children often had to return home using the latchkey. And the more latchkey children, the more worried parents. Just when American imaginations were anxious and vulnerable, 3 homicides hit national headlines in October 1979. In Fall River, Massachusetts, 65 miles south of Salem, Massachusetts, 3 young women were found murdered, and a 4th claimed that they had been killed as part of a satanic ritual. Imagine what it would be like to be a mother in the 1980s. The movies, the games, the shows, and lost children's faces on your very milk cartons. Everywhere you look is worry. America was a powder keg, ready to ignite. And like most social revolutions, all it needed to explode was a book. And this
my God,
changed everything. In November 1980...
Okay, we're not going to get into that book right now. I do find it hilarious, though. Every single person that takes this stance, they give this book so much fucking power. Like, all of a sudden, like, life was just hunky-dory. Something was building up socially, but it was fine. And then Michelle Remembers comes out, and it flipped the whole fucking truck upside down. Like, the way that people talk about it, and I understand it had an impact. That's not the issue. The issue is that everyone that takes this stance says this book came out, and then all of a sudden, like, hysterics arose and everyone was flipping out. That's just not true. It's not. It actually took several years for it to gain steam. And it's just, I don't know. It bothers me. It deeply bothers me. Just to remind everyone, like, what we're talking about here, because he's over here talking about things, there was MTV and Dungeons and Dragons. What we are talking about is actually a rise in reports of abuse. To me, and let me know where you guys are at on this. To me, it kind of seems like a cop-out to be like, no. People weren't getting abused. It was the MTV. It was Michael Jackson. It was his fault. It was because people listen to fucking Slayer. What the hell does that have to do with abuse in society? I'm not quite sure. Now, another definition I want to get into real quick is, what are secret societies? Right? Let's demystify that a little bit, because it sounds a little woo-woo. It sounds sounds a bit more spooky than I guess it should. Some secret societies allegedly practice ritual abuse. Cults practicing ritual abuse exist as a secret society. Secret societies compete for membership with established organizations. Therefore, they have to offer something not accommodated by the establishment. Wealth, power, fame, sex, drugs, security, promise of salvation, or eternal life. There can be secret societies within secret societies. So, to get to a definition, what is a cult? Here is a summary of 10 themes of cult membership. This is from Stephen Hassan, listed in Combating Cult Mind Control from Park Street Pass, Rochester, Vermont. Okay, so the 10 things that make a cult. Okay, I think this is a rather important definition. Number 1, the doctrine is reality. The cult's beliefs allow no interpretation or other theories. So what they believe is what they believe, and that's it. Don't you dare question it. Reality is black and white, good versus evil. No outside group is valid, no room for interpretation. Basically, just to double down on number 1. Number 3, elitist mentality. They are the chosen ones, the special ones. The outcasts can even usually convince themselves of this as well. This is actually one reason why I never understood. I'm just not this type of person, but I don't get the draw to a what are they called? Sorority or fraternity. I don't get it. But to me, the people I know that have always been connected to that life have always had that elitist mentality about them. So number 3, elitist mentality. They are the chosen ones or special ones. They're granted something or whatever. Number 4, group will over individual will. The self must submit to the group. Conformity is good. When you are with the group, there is no I. There is no I in team. The group, the health of the group, the success of the group is what matters above all. Little side note real quick. My mother had just texted me and she mentioned I was a mom in the 80s and I didn't know anything about Michelle Remembers until recently. So, that is one data point. I would be interested if I could somehow get a poll out to specific people. Actually, I could do targeted advertising if I had the money. Maybe I'll see if I can fundraise or something. I'm interested to hear from moms in the 80s. So anybody watching this, your mom alive in the 80s, was she a mom in the 80s? I would be interested just to hear if she knew anything about it. I've actually heard both sides of it. I've had people tell me, I don't know what they're talking about. I lived through the 80s and never heard of Satanic Panic. I never had blah, blah, blah. And then I've heard the other side too, where they said, I remember it clearly, I got sent to the demetalify camps or whatever because my mom thought I was evil. I've literally heard both stories, nothing in between them. However, I have heard way more of the, like, what panic? I didn't experience anything. Heard a lot more of that. So, and the point of me bringing that up is when we look back on certain topics, it's always a good idea to keep things in perspective, in the sense that people such as this person, Jonah, whether it's good or bad, it doesn't matter. They will hype things up that might not have necessarily been true just to sell their point. So I think a lot of the people that try to sell, even people on this side of the argument that usually agree with me, it's not like we're innocent of it entirely either. People will, what's the word I'm looking for? They will sensationalize. People do sensationalize. It's part of the way our memory works, and it's also better storytelling. So as things might have actually been kind of boring on the day-to-day, we can condense a couple of really intense things that happened over a long time, condense it down into a shorter time, and make it seem like it was a lot more exciting, It is just something to keep in mind. Anyways, back to the list. Number 4, group will over individual will. Number 5, strict obedience. Modeling the leader. The leader is imitated by everyone. So strict obedience. It's got a side note on that once we're done with this. Number 6, happiness through good performance. Behaviors are controlled by shaming or competition, which also usually results in shame. I'm going to shame you because I won and you lost. I actually wrote an article on my Substack. This is forever ago. I should probably do a part 2 to it at some point. Let's see if I can find it real quick, just to bring it up. Let's see. There it is. All right. Anybody that wants to check out my Substack, it's super easy. You just go to substack.com and you search for Beware the Mockingbird. It's literally the only one. Let's see. Oh, that's so stupid. I don't want to log in. Oh. Of course. Okay, so I am going to get back to, where is it? I'm going to get back to the cult list real quick. Okay, so strict obedience, modeling the leader, happiness. So this is number 6. Number 6 is happiness through good performance. Behaviors are controlled by shaming and competition. Number 7, manipulation through fear and guilt. Includes exit phobias, the devil, God, communism, fear of dying alone. I mean, it can be anything. It's whatever the individual is scared of is usually used against them. But it's the manipulation through the fear and guilt on top of the positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement that is determined through the act of shaming. Now, in my opinion, and I'm sure yours as well, that this sort of use of shame is actually a illegitimate use of shame. I am of the opinion that shame actually plays a very important role in just regular everyday life. And I think it's odd that we live in a world where we now cannot shame anybody for anything. So instead of having healthy shame, instead of recognizing when it's healthy and unhealthy, instead of being educated about it, we just can't do it. We just can't shame people. That's just bad. It makes you feel bad. Like, well, if you do something you should feel bad about, then you should feel bad about it. See where, damn it. Oh, right here. Man, switching screens on this browser sucks. I want to go back to my old browser. Okay. Anybody who's curious can definitely check this out over on my Substack, Beware the Mockingbird. Please feel free to subscribe. I've got a Satanic Panic series going on right now. But this is one of my older articles, and it's Unmasking the Power of Shame, Exploring its Role and How It Positively Impacts Society. So, this is the positive aspect of shame. I should probably, like I said, do a part 2, come back in and explain the other side of it. I'll do that at some point. Anyways, let's see. Manipulation through fear and guilt. 8, emotional highs and lows, from great productivity to crashing due to an individual's inadequacies. Number 9, changes in time orientation. Pre-cult life is bad. The present is crucial. Pressure to meet quotas usually works out in a way of the cult, your family, your new family understand you. Your old family doesn't understand you. Not like we do. We love you. Your old family, they were mean. Don't talk to them anymore. It's usually how that works. Pre-cult life is bad. The present is crucial. Got to keep working. Otherwise, doomsday is coming. It's just usually a doomsday cult. Number 10, no way out. There is never a legitimate reason for leaving. Plain and simple. Cults also use love bombing. That's typically how they get you in, too. And to stay. Lots of flattery early on to suck people in. In ritual abuse, fear is used much more often, especially with children. Torture is often used to control people's minds, allowing suggestions to enter the mind, causing DID, or dissociative identity disorder. Instead of fatigue and lectures, through fatigue and starvation, or though fatigue and starvation may also be used, ritual abuse suggestions are planted in all alternate personalities. A person in the cult may have one belief system for work and daytime society and another for the cult at night. The author of this list, Hassan, his book, which doesn't discuss ritual abuse, does explain how to recognize and avoid cults. They are often dishonest, having a hidden agenda. The connection, secret societies and ritual abuse. Violent cults that ritually abuse children use a variety of belief systems to justify their acts. Some belief systems are based on the idea of needing to understand both good and evil in order to reach spiritual enlightenment. Members engage in all evil acts imaginable in an attempt to understand the nature of evil. You know, I met some hippie chicks like this once. I don't think that they were a cult, but they were quickly on their way. Yeah, it is just weird. You find this a lot in New Age circles. It's got to be a balance, man. It's all like light and dark. You can't have one without the other. Big old floppy hats. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, members engage in all evil acts imaginable, blah, 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 blah. Some violent cults believe in supreme evil powers to gain supernatural power. People practice ritual abuse to worship evil forces. Other belief systems of creating a superior white race, that comes up a lot too. Satanism and Nazism kind of go hand in hand. Let's see, creating a super white race. These cults believe they must torture and ritually abuse children to create a stronger breed of humans. Some are based on worshiping the cycles of nature. Page 123, Ritual Abuse, Margaret Smith, 1993. When trauma alters brain chemistry, perceptions of reality change. Ancient magicians believed a victim's response was a mystical or magical experience. Now, this is called disassociation. Some Gnostics believe that Satan was the god of the Old Testament. In the Middle Ages, some secret societies and fraternal organizations were accused by the Catholic Church of practicing a violent, sexualized mass. The Cathars, I believe Cathars and Knights Templar were two of these groups. The Knights Templar were accused of desecrating the cross and anointing it with parts of infants. Some confessions were obtained by torture. The Illuminati, a dualist philosophy associated with Satanism, developed in the 18th century. Some people believe they infiltrated secret societies, including Freemasonry. 67% of survivors in M. Smith's study said their ritual abuse perpetrators belonged to either secret societies or fraternal organizations. 33% of alleged perpetrators were Masons. Interesting. We're not going to get too deep in that specifically tonight. Let's see. We will be getting into that. Trust me. Just we will not be getting into the specifics of the groups. Okay. Now back to our friend. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Jonah. Jonah, where'd you go? There you are. Damn it. Damn it. I mean, if I'm being honest, you're not missing much. I'm kind of teasing. Let's see. There we go. We're almost done with this. Let's see. I mean, he's really just talking about Michelle Remembers and, you know, how strange it was, how she recovered her memories. And I don't know. I'll let him go for just a little bit longer.
In the book Michelle Remembers, no evidence has ever been found to corroborate Smith's memories. Originally, Pazder claimed the Church of Satan had abused Smith, but withdrew that accusation when the Church of Satan threatened to sue for defamation.
I'll actually tell you what makes me not trust either Michelle Smith or Pazder is the fact that Pazder was former CIA. That's what makes me not trust him. None of this other stuff that he's talking about. I mean, not that it makes me trust them because of this stuff, but yeah. Also, it's always, this is what's frustrating with these people. It is never the full truth. This isn't the full story. So
the book also fails to mention Smith's sisters, who should have been present, nor any police investigations for missing
it's not necessarily true.
A car crash alleged by Smith also was unsupported by documentation. Neighbors, teachers, and friends were all interviewed, and no evidence.
How many crimes happen that never get a police report? Actually, I can count. I've been in 2 car accidents. I mean, nothing super serious, but I was in 2 car accidents, and we never called the police. That's just a bad argument. That's just a bad argument. Just whatever, dude. Whatever.
Nor indication was ever found to substantiate the book's claims. A ritual of fully 81 days left no trace, no sights, no sounds, not even a suspicious buildup of unopened mail. No one in the neighborhood ever heard the sounds of the graveyard ritual. During the 8 years she alleged being captive, Smith was proven to be enrolled in and attended her local school. No one was reported missing. Smith carefully managed to only implicate her mother by name, her mother who had passed away before the book was published. But none of these facts were known at the time. In 1980, the world only heard Michelle's harrowing tale, and it was enough to spark a full-scale panic.
See?
The 1980s also saw the eruption of the talk show.
See, that's what I'm saying. One book, was able to just like, the whole country was on fire. I'm just not buying it. I'm really not. Like, of course it had an impact. It is 2026 and we're still talking about a book that was published in 1980. And I don't know if you guys have actually ever read it. I've actually never read it. I've read bits and pieces. I've heard a lot about it. I've watched documentaries on it. I've done pretty much everything you can do except actually read it. So it obviously had an impact. But like, I don't know how many of you were here when we watched, we did the watch along to the Satan Wants You, the documentary about Michelle Remembers. And the way they talked about it was as if the book itself had like supernatural abilities and it just made everyone go crazy. Like, what? I guess it has to be framed this way if you're going to believe the other side. I don't know. Let me know in the chat. Is anybody in the chat actually on the opposite side of the argument I do see that we've got 143 people watching, assuming that's correct. If anybody is on the opposite side of the argument from myself or anybody else, what is it? Also, if there isn't anybody, do you have anyone in your life that takes the other side of this argument from yourself, that is? Anyways, let's keep going.
World, which quickly seized upon Pazder's claims. Smith and Pazder were featured on Oprah, Donahue, and Geraldo Rivera. Geraldo Rivera broadcast to 20 million homes his special about devil worship, exposing Satan's underworld.
It's actually really good.
Americans watched in horror, and the ratings came pouring in. In their newspapers, books, movies, talk shows, and even on their milk cartons, Americans were bombarded with scandal, rumor, and accusation about SRA, or satanic ritual abuse. By 1983, the Satanic Panic was fully underway. The immensely popular Dr. Pazder was featured on the popular television news program 2020 and began conducting ritual abuse seminars to train various police departments. Michelle Remembers was actually used as training material for social workers training seminars. In the end, Smith and Pazder divorced their spouses and married each other, pocketing millions of dollars in...
Sure. That part is weird. It's very weird. However, I have still never once heard a good argument as to why Michelle Remembers should not have been used as at least one training aid. Now, should that have been the only thing to teach people? No, obviously not. That would be absurd. But I still don't know of a reason why that shouldn't have been used to teach, or at least been brought up or something. I don't know. That seems weird. Although, okay, I guess I do see one side of the other argument. It's like they're only doing these classes in order to sell the book and make more money and blah, blah, blah. Okay, I guess I could get that. I'm not convinced that's 100% of what that was, though. I don't know. These two are weird. The fact that they got married is super weird. I don't know what to think about that.
Royalties and book deals without ever proving one case of abuse. After
Whoa. Okay. This is a constant thing that gets brought up as proof. I'm not even quite sure what to say about it. I don't think I've really like fleshed out my thoughts entirely. I had a person on Twitter earlier, or X, whatever, basically explained to me that everything in the Epstein files is fake, right? Like I went through and looked at all of his comments before I decided to engage. And this person was literally going through like Epstein threads just to like almost troll, but he was like being genuine to where I think he didn't believe it. I think he's just this type of person, genuinely. Or he could be an agent. I don't know. But the question I asked earnestly, exactly what are you going to accept as evidence? Because this person, assuming it wasn't a bot and it was a real person, told me that victim statements are not, they're not evidence. Pictures are not evidence. Videos are not evidence. And just documents themselves are not evidence. So that pretty much covers all of it. But I asked in earnest, what is evidence? What would you consider, or what I said, what would you accept in order to agree that something is true? And of course, he had a cop-out bitch answer. You'll know it when you see it. Okay, so you're not a real person. But the point of me bringing this up is that this is a constant hinge point for people. Proof. What proof? You've got to think about it. These people are committing the most heinous felony imaginable. Do you think they're really going to be taking pictures? And also, do you really want the pictures? I don't think you do. The entire point of me bringing this up is when they say no case of abuse has been proven, that's just not true, because lots of these cases have been proven. There are plenty of cases that have evidence that the court refused to see. There's cases that had great evidence and they got thrown out for whatever various reason. So to say that, I don't know, this judge in this specific district, he dismissed it, so that means everything that led up to a court case doesn't mean jack shit. So anybody gets arrested, anybody gets served. The fact that a court case could even exist to begin with means that there has to be something. Like, it might get dismantled later, but nonetheless, there was something. So this whole, it was never proven. First of all, what's proof? What do you accept as evidence? Granted, there is very clear-cut defined evidence, and there's also ranks of evidence, right? Like, some evidence is better than others. There has been a lot of people not provide evidence. Usually those people get busted for being frauds. I mean, it happens. It just... Okay, so the whole premise, like I said, once again, I want to remind, like, we are talking about an extreme abuse. So I don't know, maybe you guys can help me. I don't understand, to say that it doesn't happen. It seems like a weird stance to take. Now, I know the fear of, like, don't, sell torches and pitchforks yet. We've got to find out if they actually did it. You're right. But that's not the position he's taking. It's not like, whoa, hold on. Let's look at the evidence. He's just flat out saying none of them have ever been proven. That's a whole different thing. That's not being reasonable. That's being a contrarian.
The formula used by Smith and Pastor was democratized in 1983 when Judy Johnson accused the workers at her local McMartin preschool in Los Angeles of having satanic ritual abuse. Johnson alleged that her children were abused and even tortured at this preschool. Local social workers urged the police
Let's hear him say it.
While the investigation was just beginning, the police dispatched a letter to 200 parents of students who had attended the preschool, stating that their children might have been sexually abused and asking their parents to question their own children.
Right.
Predictably, this sent the community into a frenzy. Mortified
really? Is that what did it?
To interview their children. Their imaginations ran wild. They suspected the worst. The letter from the police ended with a disclaimer that there is no evidence as of yet. But by that time, it was too late, and the local community was on.
You know what's kind of funny about this is he seems to be skating over the fact that some kids tested positive for STDs. You know, just throwing that out there. And that's just one of many issues with what he is saying. Let's see. Oh yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. Where did this go? Damn it. Wait. Nope. Damn it. Sorry. Still too many tabs open. Let's see, can I close any of these? There we go. Okay.
Fire with terror. Kathleen McFarlane was director at the Children's Institute International in Los Angeles, and she took up the lucrative task of interviewing the children. McFarlane sold herself as a psychotherapist, but lacked any professional licenses. Suddenly, her practice ballooned with new patients as parents came banging down her door. Pediatric psychology was still quite niche, but it had been suddenly thrust into the mainstream. To aid her in
Don't
the
say that
flood
word.
of interviews, McFarlane conceptualized the infamous anatomically correct doll for children so that they could point at it during interviews, complete with all the curious body parts. And not surprisingly, the children responded with curiosity and bewilderment at the dolls, only fueling more suspicion from the therapists. Around 400 children were interviewed, and the preschool workers,
It's actually 520.
Raymond Bucky and Peggy McMartin, were charged with 100 counts of molestation and conspiracy. The suspicion spread to other schools in the area. The number of alleged abused children ballooned to over 1,400 children. As the interviews continued, the claims grew and grew and spread and spread.
See what he's doing? By chance? That I find this hilarious. So if I was face to face with him right now, and I was, telling him the opposite of what he believes, he would most likely call me a conspiracy theorist, fake news. I don't know exactly what he would call me. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it would be along those lines. Grifter. I don't know. Take your pick. Could be any of these things. It's all fairly common from that side. But I find it interesting because that's also quite a big conspiracy, don't you think? That now we've got 1,400 children that were manipulated by therapists. Huh. I thought a conspiracy like that couldn't exist. Right? Like that's what the argument is. So it's like, so you're trading one conspiracy for another. So it's either the conspiracy that there are people out there that would want to do harm to children, or that for some reason, and I've never had this explained, for some reason, there's this therapist all over the place coordinating to intentionally implant false memories of satanic ritual abuse in tons of children's minds, I guess because of a paycheck. That's about the only explanation I've ever been able to pinpoint. Also, there's not like this huge like rash of like therapists losing their licenses. Some of them did. And within all fairness, some of them should have. But with 1,400 kids that were made to believe something extremely graphic, horrific, and traumatizing on its own, and they didn't go to prison, or at least jail, pay a fine. Okay. I'm kind of at a loss.
Once the local district attorney had agreed to take up the case, the LA County office was determined to prove that something had happened. The ensuing trial was so forced that...
Actually, I've just got to skip the McMartin stuff. I don't have the time to deal with it tonight. Let's see. Personally, I would love to do this in person with him. Let's see. Wanted to get to the memory stuff. That's what we're looking for.
remembered about that day. A year later, Rubin found the same subjects and asked them to do it again. And somehow, the subjects remembered things they had not witnessed. Some of the new accounts contradicted the older ones. The subjects reconstructed their memories and contrived hallucinations. These hallucinations had crept in just like we see in artificial intelligence today. Ask yourself,
Wow.
were you alive on 9/11? Do you remember that day?
Yes, I
For
do.
most people, it's emblazoned on our minds, a flashbulb memory. Where were you when you heard the news? Who told you? Do you remember the news footage on television? Can you remember when the first tower was hit, and did you see it? Do you remember seeing the planes hit live? Many, many people do. In fact, the president of the United States at the time, George W. Bush, told reporters that he saw the first plane hit live on television. The first plane. The truth is, there was no footage aired of the first plane hitting until around midnight on that day. No live footage captured the first plane hitting. There's no possible way the Bush could have seen that footage.
This is also kind of interesting that he does this. I watched the second plane. I definitely watched the second plane. I was not in high school. I'm a lot younger than that. Let's see. I was in 9/11 4th grade, I think. Yeah. So I watched very clear. Well, here's where the confusion comes in. Because when the news started, I got dropped off at my mom's friend's house because she lived near the school. My mom had to go to work super early. She had this little TV in her kitchen, and we were, I don't know, about an hour before we had to go. We were just like right around the corner from the school, but I heard her scream. I'll never forget that scream. I come in just in time to watch the second plane hit. But what's interesting, I assume it's replay, but when we got to school, we all watched it again. So, like I said, I assume that's replay, but also why show that again to like a bunch of little kids? Yeah. Okay, so there was footage of the plane. Now, let's see. Josh Zeman, you said that you watched both live. So what was the TV turned to that you would be watching New York City live that early in the morning? Like what was the regularly scheduled program to where there was live footage of the first plane? I'm not doubting you. I'm just curious. But either way, we do all remember the planes. Now, here's the issue. He is talking about a particular issue that is not going to affect you the same way as, say, extreme torture as a child. Granted, I mean, it was traumatic. It was definitely traumatic. I had no idea what was going on, and I definitely had no way to know the impact of what was happening. But as traumatic as it was, I would never compare the trauma that I got that day to anything close to being raped. You know? See my point? So how could he compare these two as like, oh, well, this happened on 9/11 and look at how many people it happened to? It's not the same. Sorry, dude. It's not the same. It's not the fucking same to where you can like compare the two of like watching 9/11, whether you're an adult or a child, versus like some of the most horrific things that could ever happen to somebody. This is why the Elizabeth Loftus Lost in the Mall study is absurd. Like, okay, fine. You got lost in the mall. That's traumatic. It's not the same as brutal rape. And it's not going to affect you the same way. It's not to say that being a little kid, getting lost in the mall couldn't be traumatic. It would be, but it's not the same. So this is a false equivalency. It's stupid is what it is.
This has bred many conspiracy theories. But Bush isn't alone. How could so many people recall seeing it live when it wasn't live? Is everyone lying? Well, actually, no. They truly believe that they saw the first plane hit live on television. They literally have a memory in their mind telling them that they witnessed it live, even though that's impossible. Researchers call this the Mandela effect, when vivid and detailed memories of a public event can be shared by lots of people and all of them be totally wrong. It's called the Mandela effect after the widely held public memory that Nelson Mandela died substantially more effective than simple suggestive questions at inducing substantially more effective than simple suggestive questions like Martin trial therapy sessions, and found that the therapist's questions were found to be substantially more effective than simple suggestive questions at inducing preschool children to make false allegations against a classroom visitor.
Okay, that's bullshit. No child is going to be asked a question and then automatically in their head come up with the most graphic sexual descriptions that most adults would be embarrassed to describe. That's not going to fucking happen. Like, okay, I'm getting angry because this guy literally thinks that people are stupid. This is not how children work. Yeah, granted, you could probably talk a kid into doing something, but okay, we're getting to a point, like a level of absurdity because of what the result is. The result is, okay, what was the first kid's name? Was it Jacob? Judy Johnson, right? Was his mom. He tested positive for an STD. How was that lied into him? Okay. Okay, kids make stuff up. That it just doesn't explain the graphic level of detail of like depraved sexual acts. Like acts of like sexual acts that would make God cry. So I don't know. It's just really frustrating.
Interrogations produced
really
accusations
frustrating.
58% of the time compared to just 17% on average. Researchers suppose that the social influence and reinforcement appeared to be more powerful determinants of children's answers than simple suggestive questions. Here's an excerpt from one of the interviews. Therapist: can you remember the naked pictures? Child shakes head no. Therapist: can't remember that part? Again, child shakes head no. Therapist: why don't you think about that for a while, okay? Your memory might come back to you. The obvious problem with this method of questioning is, what if there were no naked pictures? The child is literally incapable of satisfying the pressure of the therapist. Their only way out is to give the therapist what they want. False memory syndrome, as it is called today, or FMS, is now a form of recourse for families destroyed by the hysteria of the 1980s and 90s. Court cases across the nation have heard testimony about false memory syndrome. Malpractice lawsuits against therapists are cataloged by the FMS Foundation. The list of malpractice lawsuits grows every day. In the 1980s and 90s, the testimonies of these children caught everyone off guard. Nothing
Come on,
like this
stupid
had
mouse.
ever been so
Okay.
widely publicized.
So, pretty much, well, let's see. He's introducing false memory. Damn it. I was hoping we were done.
Memory recovery and to show their usefulness. Therapists motivated to prove their theories on memory. By the time specific names were attached to the accusation, there were already sympathetic listeners. Once a case has been taken up by law enforcement, dropping it is an embarrassment. The therapists were also motivated to prove their theories on memory recovery and to show their usefulness. Therapists like this were paid huge sums of money to travel around the country interviewing children. Imagine the payday for a pediatric therapist who suddenly received 60 new clients overnight, all of them in need of regular therapy sessions. Not to mention the TV interviews, appearances on talk shows, book deals, and countless government agencies all clamoring and paying for new training on memory recovery and child abuse. The McMartin trial cost the government $15 million in the 1980s, and that's 1980s dollars. That's just the government in LA County. No one knows the ad revenue from the news broadcast, the fees for private investigators, thousands of families all paying for therapy sessions. How much did one episode of the Oprah Winfrey Show cost? Or Donahue? Or Geraldo Rivera? How many episodes did they spend on this? Heaven can only calculate all the cumulative cost of the Satanic Panic. Investigators and historians have covered the Satanic Panic before. The McMartin trial is infamous, but lesser known is how the ghoulish fingers of that hysteria reached over the Wasatch Mountains and into the minds of the Latter-day Saints in quiet suburban Utah. Ironically, Utah caught the panic harder than anywhere else. In the next installment, we'll show how the Satanic Panic would find its most lasting and fertile.
Yeah. He's leaning real heavy on the False Memory Syndrome Foundation, which is where we dovetail. We are going to dovetail. Let's see, give me just a sec. Yeah, this dude is completely full of shit. And dude, it gets so much worse, if you can believe that. It's way worse, actually, to the point that I was about ready to pop a blood vessel in my head earlier, because it's so frustrating. But yes, this person relies upon a source that has been debunked and disproven plenty of times, and he's presenting it as if it's brand new yesterday, and I don't know. So on that note, like I said, we're going to dovetail. Give me just a quick second. Let's see, here we go. Window. Make sure there's audio. Share. There we go. Okay, now we're back to where we were because I was getting ahead of myself. Oh, come on, stupid mouse. There we go.
Black psychiatry at that time specialized in electroshock lobotomies, drugging agents, incapacitants, hypnosis, sleep deprivation, and radio control of the brain. The FMSF founder, Dr. Ralph Underwager, and his wife openly advocated pedophilia, saying that it is God's will adults engage in sex with children. Underwager told a British reporter in 1994, quote, that scientific evidence proved 60% of all women molested as children believed the experience was good for them. Dr. Underwager is the world's foremost authority on false memory.
This is who Jonah supports.
Is repeatedly revealed as a charlatan. Numerous other members of the FMSF have connections to pedophilia, covert operations, and black psychiatry. Peter and Pamela Freyd, executive directors of the FMSF, have been accused of child abuse by their daughter, a professor of psychology at the University of Oregon. The industrial production of FMSF stories in journals, newspapers, and TV have shaped public opinion.
They kind of downplayed Jennifer Freyd's success. So first of all, Jennifer Freyd is an award-winning neuroscientist, memory doctor. She has basically the current understanding of trauma on the brain. She has made major contributions to her professional field. She's been published. Like I said, she's won all sorts of awards. I mean, she has truly given back to her community, her profession, I mean, and she has made it better. She has truly made a great impact on this earth. Now, she's the one that accused her parents, her father particularly, of sexually abusing her when she was younger. He said no. He does not have a degree in memory science or anything. He's was a mathematician with Harvard, I believe, or Brown, or I don't know. The school doesn't really matter, but he was a mathematician, and him and his wife took offense to this whole thing, said, no, you're lying, and started the False Memory Syndrome Foundation to defend the husband. So, not a great look, dude. And then you pair up with Ralph Underwager. Okay.
The very concept of false memory serves the same purpose as Holocaust denial. The major crimes are obstructed, the accused wears the veil of a martyr, and the victim is reviled. Dr. Douglas Besheroff is director of the American Enterprise Institute and former director of the National Center of Child Abuse and Neglect. He writes articles that attack the victims of abuse and has been caught fabricating statistics when claiming scientific rationale for his claims. In 1986, Besheroff published Unfounded Allegations, A New Child Abuse Problem, and numerous other cover stories to confuse the issue. These individuals are engaged in a psychological warfare operation to cover up reports of the agency's mind control operations. For years, the CIA collaborated with cults, many of them founded by the government, in order to conceal the development of mind control technology. Dr. Besheroff associated with Irving Kristol, a veteran CIA psychological warfare specialist. Ritual abuse skeptics with CIA connections are covering up the latest phase in CIA-sponsored mind control experimentation. The McMartin Preschool. In preparation for the McMartin Preschool child abuse trial, 389 toddlers were interviewed. Nearly all of them described abuse at the preschool and do to this day. Some 80% had physical symptoms, including blunt force trauma of sexual areas, scarring, rectal bleeding, and sexual diseases. Paul and Shirley Eberly published the only 2 books available on the case, The Politics of Child Abuse, 1986. They achieved national status as child abuse experts. In courts of law, their work is frequently cited. They lecture widely to receptive audiences and have been speakers at a conference held by Victims of Child Abuse Laws, VOCAL. These 2 individuals ran an underground tabloid, Finger, in the 1970s. Finger delved heavily into sadomasochistic sex, sex with children, and sex acts involving human excrement. These 2 pedophiles seek to portray every abuser as a victim of mass hysteria, satanic panic, and witch hunts. They are just 2 of many. The parents of the
Sounds like somebody we just watched.
Hired scientists and technicians who unearthed a series of underground tunnels beneath the school, confirming the children's testimony. The longest tunnel was 45 feet long and 6 feet below the school, with a 9-foot chamber spoken of by the children. Another branch led to the triplex next door, surfacing beneath a rollaway bathtub. Forensic tests on thousands of objects found at the site included 200 animal bones. The tunnels were dug in 1966, the year of the school's construction, by the father of the defendant, Charles Buckey. Buckey built the school and worked for Hughes Tool Company. There is an old adage, Hughes is the CIA.
Pick it up and put it in this bag.
Oh.
That's right. The next will be a small, harmless snake. Pick it up behind the head. That's right. And put it in here. That's right. All the way, make sure it's in. That's right. And now there'll be a large snake, which you'll pick up behind the head. Behind the head. Quickly. Quickly. Let go.
I can't believe they. Not only did he do this, but he filmed it. Like, it makes me so uncomfortable.
You're going to be aware that there's a beaker in front of you. Do not touch the beaker. And there will be 2 other beakers also in front of you. Look at them. It's all right to open your eyes now. You'll see the beakers. Now I want you to focus on this beaker. Shortly I'll ask you to do something. This beaker you want to be careful of because it is filled with acid. This nitric acid, you've had chemistry, haven't you? And you know that the nitric acid dissolves copper. I'm going to put a penny into the acid. Look what happens. Now I want you to reach in with your hand and pick up the penny out of the acid and put it into this beaker. Take it very quickly. Go ahead.
So, just to give a little bit of context, this man, Martin Orn, is at this point in time when this is being filmed, he is the world's leading authority on hypnotism. He is being fully funded by the CIA. He's fully aware of it. He knows exactly what he's doing, why he's doing it, and he loves doing it. There's a lot of questions with Martin Orn. That's for a different episode, though. You can, anyone that does want to know more, you can go check out my False Memory Syndrome Foundation Twitter threads. They're pinned on my profile, so go check those out.
And then close your eyes. Nothing else at all. Nothing else at all. Only my voice. Nothing else at all. That's right. That's right. All right. Now I want you to put your hand on this beaker. That's right. Only my voice. Nothing else at all. That's right. Now when you open your eyes, you're going to be aware that the beaker is still there in front of you. But beside you, you'll be aware that there's a man who's been responsible for all of the nuisance today, all of the discomfort. And you're going to become more and more annoyed at him as you think about that. In fact, you're going to pick up the beaker and throw the contents right at him. You're going to take the beaker and you'll feel good doing that. All right, and you'll do it quickly. Open your eyes, you'll see the beaker in front of you. Pick it up and throw it at him. Throw it at him. That's it. As you saw, we changed the acid for colored water while the subject's eyes were closed. The subject not only couldn't see this, but wasn't really aware of it because the smell of the acid was strong enough in the area to be quite compelling. Yet she threw the acid, what she thought was acid, at someone else. By the same token, she picked up the rattlesnake and she was willing to take a penny out of the fuming acid. The reason why
this guy is fucking nuts.
not so much the fact that she was hypnotized.
This guy. Oh my God.
To have anybody be hurt.
Seriously, he was getting paid 6 figures a year to do this back then.
And it was the trust that mattered.
I decided that I liked Anton LaVey. He was a pleasant man. He believed in what he was doing. And underneath his somewhat Mardi Gras exterior, I sensed that there was an individual who did, in fact, have a new perspective on the human equation, on what humanity is.
Okay. I mean, okay. Let me make sure I got this correct. There is going to be more of that Jonah guy later. Let's see. Let's get rid of that. And then let's see. We are. Oh, come on. Okay. I think. Damn it. Did I close it? Oh, we went through that. Got through that. Okay. We don't have time for that. Let's see, we are almost at 3 hours, so let's see. I think we'll just start wrapping up then, but let's do this. Because I'm just like right at that point where I don't have much to get in, like really get into anything. I mean, unless we're going to be here for another hour. Okay. Damn it. Didn't even have a chance to get into Q. Because I think that's where a lot of, let's see. I think that's where a lot of like actual panic is coming from. It's from the Q crowd. Yeah, I don't know. So I do know church attendance is up across the entire country. Some more so, like some religions more, or some denominations of Christian more so than others. But nonetheless, church attendance is up across the board. There are more people going back to church, more people finding their faith. There are, it's interesting. So the reason I bring that up is because of the question is the moral, or is the satanic panic back? Well, I mean, why else would people be going back to church? I mean, I do think a lot of people feel that there is something fundamentally wrong. So that's part of it. I definitely think that's part of it. People do see this outward blatant satanic behavior when this is like all over the place, and people are not okay with it. At least it seems that way based upon certain statistics. Now it's kind of interesting because there are a couple of things. See, I have it in my notebook. I do believe we live in a satanic world. And that's because what it actually means to be a Satanist. So there are like 4 core beliefs to being a Satanist. So it doesn't matter whether you are a, I call them aesthetic Satanists, where they're like atheists, people with the Satanic Temple, some Church of Satan members, that sort of thing. People who are atheists and believe in Satan as more of an idea, or whether you are an actual like believer in Satan as a deity, whatever flavor of Satanist you are, they will all have the same 4 things in common, no matter what. Those 4 things, they're pretty simple. It is in no particular order, but it is egotism, moral relativism, social Darwinism, and eugenics. These are the 4 core beliefs, literally out of any Satanist. When you boil it down to its basic elements, that is what the belief system is, and it's all 4 of them. Any one particular person might lean on one of them more than the others, but they will have all 4 of them in their belief system, which is what I believe makes it satanic. Is once all 4 thresholds are met, that is exactly what makes it satanic. So once again, egotism, moral relativism, social Darwinism, and eugenics. We don't have a whole lot of time for me to be able to sit here and break down every single one. I do plan on doing a show. It's going to be a pre-recorded show where I just break down a lot more of my satanic experiences, tell some stories. I've been trying to find some pictures and stuff. It's a lot harder because, I was never the one taking pictures. So I have to get a hold of friends, and I don't know, it's a whole thing, but I'm working on that. Unfortunately, we don't have the time tonight, but so I mean, when was the last time that you went anywhere and, didn't see someone being a complete egotistical ass? I mean, that's like the default now. No, don't get me wrong. I still believe the majority of people are good. But that doesn't stop them from living as an egotistical ass. I think like a lot of our culture has bred this. There's a lot of the music to blame. There's a lot of what has been just like accepted and tolerated in society. And it just keeps getting more and more and more because, you take an inch, or you give them an inch and they take a mile. Moral relativism. I mean, if you can't see that in our current society, I mean, I don't know. Everyone just makes up their own rules about what is right and what is wrong. Social Darwinism, where, you're willing to step on your neighbor if that helps you succeed. Not lending a hand or helping them up along the way, but physically stepping on them to get up to the next rung, making sure they stay down to get you up. It's the whole mentality. And it's not like passive either. It's very intentional to, like, I am going to be ruthless because that will lead to success. It's not like I'll be ruthless when I need to be ruthless. No. It's very specific. I am going to be ruthless at all times because being ruthless will make me successful. And of course, eugenics makes total sense because of number one, egotism. Satanists are the best. And that's it. They are the biggest ego in the room, always. I mean, the very foundation of Satanism is that you believe you can become a god, that there is no God, or if you do believe in deities, then either there is no God and so therefore you can become a god. I don't get the logical jump there, but or there is a God and that God is not more powerful than you because you can become a god who is just as powerful as him. So those are like the two paths. Granted, I've met other people that have like, you know, showed me some like really weird fundamentals, because here's the thing is Satanism is decentralized. Yes, of course, there's the Satanic Temple. There is the Church of Satan. You don't have to go with them, though. I didn't. I was going to. And then I met them, and I didn't like them very much. They didn't like me very much. It just wasn't a right click. But, yeah, it just, you don't have to go with them. You can be a lone wolf, or you can start your own group. You can do whatever you want, right? This is where the moral relativism comes in. There is no right and wrong other than what you do to other Satanists. That can be a big deal. It's more of a like a mutual respect thing, kind of. How do I explain it? It's like the mafia, but way more gay. Like, there's just like this baseline respect because you are like on the same team. So if it came down to like you had to help a non-Satanist versus a Satanist, you're obviously going after the Satanist. But then at the same time, you'll do whatever the fuck you want because moral relativism, right? So now here's what I'm going to close on. The reason why this is so dangerous, and people can say whatever they want to about LaVeyan Satanism. It's not real Satanism. LaVey was a con artist, whatever, blah, 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 blah. LaVey has done way more for Satanism than anyone else. Like, people who are nowhere near those communities can probably get some sort of an idea of who he is, or have heard his name at least once, or, you know, they know what the Satanic Bible is. Doesn't take a genius to know that. That's all because of him. So, I mean, it could be, you know, your dime store Satanism all you want, but do you know how many on-ramps, or how many times the Church of Satan has acted as an on-ramp for people to get deeper into it? That's like the whole purpose. The whole purpose of the Church of Satan is that it's a nice walk-up, friendly, approachable organization that you can get involved in. It's all brick and mortar. Yeah, we just hang out and talk shit and do rituals and piss off Christians. Like, you know, it's that to introduce you into the world. Now, that does not mean that LaVeyan Satanism is not dangerous, because the very foundation of all Satanism, I can become a god. I am a god. That's it. No gods, no masters. I rule myself. Egotism. Ego. me above all else, period. That becomes dangerous when you pair it with the other belief systems of you are not as good as me, I am superior to you, you are dumb, you are beneath me. Obviously, that has never once worked out in, humankind ever. I can't find a single written, recorded notion of where dehumanizing another person actually benefited and made things better. As far as I know, it never has, and I don't think it ever will. So when you pair those two mentalities together, especially when you pair them with a teenager who's pretty impressionable, you're going to end up with some weird shit, man. You're going to end up with some weird shit, and honestly, I'm pretty lucky I came out rather unscathed. This whole thing bothers me, and this is where I'll wrap up. This whole thing bothers me is just because it's such a dangerous belief system. It's so easy to get into. And you have pieces of shit like this Jonah dude just like denying that this happens, that it exists. I mean, I'll tell you, most of the people I knew weren't bad people like that. They weren't trafficking humans or whatever. But I met some bad people. I don't know if they were human traffickers, but yeah, I met some people that have done some really terrible things. So, I don't know. It's troublesome to me when somebody who claims to be a devout Christian is also denying a part of their faith, because they're denying like Satanists would do this to children. What? I thought that's what they believed, right? And now granted, I am just kind of picking on him because he was who we watched tonight, but it's not just him. I'm speaking at him to everybody, if that makes sense. Because honestly, I have a feeling that this dude is dumber than a bag of rocks, and I hate to be mean about it, but he's either very suggestible or dumb. So either way, but I just have no respect for anybody doing this just because supposedly he believes in this whole thing, and he's just still, for some reason, so no, doesn't happen, doesn't exist. Dude, like, you're rejecting yourself, and then I don't know. I don't get it. I will say, though, if this ever reaches Jonah or anyone over at Ward Radio, you're always welcome on my platform. I would love to have a discussion because there's some things you guys need to get straight. Some things you were just factually incorrect about. So anybody ever sees these guys out on social media, tag me and be like, hey, go on his show. So that would be fun. I don't think they'll ever do it, honestly. I've thought about it a lot. I don't think they'll ever do it. But it sure would be fun to try to get them there. Anyways, on that, I think we're going to get out of here for the night. But on that, before you get out of here, know that we do have another show on Friday. This is going to be an interview show. I can't remember exactly what time off the top of my head, but just look out on... It's actually going to be late, if I remember. It's going to be pretty damn late because they work the late shift at their job. So yeah, it's going to be pretty late on Friday. But it's going to be an interview. So check that out. For anyone who's curious, it is going to be with the homie Namrock. So first time he's going to be on the show. Super excited about that. So make sure to tune into that, or at least catch the replay. The best thing you can do is go to onmylinks.com/rise to liberty, and that will pull up all the fun stuff we have coming up. The next about 2 to 3 weeks is going to be really heavy. There's going to be a lot of fun stuff changing. But I'm waiting for a couple of, maybe about a couple of more days to make like an official announcement. I wanted to, give a show update tonight. No, we're just going to do its own thing. So be on the lookout for that. There's going to be all sorts of like cool merch. There's going to be membership opportunities. Going to be all sorts of awesome stuff. Super excited. So also go check out my Substack, Beware the Mockingbird. I am releasing my Satanic Panic written series. And the longer I work on it, holy shit, I just realized I gave birth to a monster when I did this, because I didn't realize at the beginning how extensive it is now becoming. But no, it's going to be good. It's good because it will be the most complete, at least written version up to this point. So it's going to be great. It's turning out great so far. And so that's part 2 should be out tomorrow, maybe probably tomorrow. Anyways, I think that's about it. So yeah, tune in, onmylinks.com/rise to liberty. Buy me a coffee and Ko-fi.com, both doing those donations. And in case anyone hasn't noticed, there's ads on the audio version of the podcast now. Next week will be available membership options to be able to get the ad-free plus exclusive content. Once again, I'll have all those details for everyone later. Hit the like, share, subscribe on the way out. And I think that's about it. Let me know after the show's over. Leave a comment. Let me know what you liked, what you want to see more of, what you don't want to see again. Just whatever. Share this with your friends, family, coworkers, whatever, people you want to piss off. Send this over to Jonah at Ward Radio. Let's get him on the show. Just bug him until he gets on. Just kidding. Don't harass him. But until next time, I'll be sad. I'll be looking forward to the next time. But thanks, guys, for tuning in. I had a great time. And seriously, Friday. And other than that, until next time, stay free.